Hello everybody, welcome to Ageless Rock, a channel where megalithic fans can see things from a megalithic perspective. In this video, we are going to check out an island full of money where, according to mainstream, the citizens get to chisel their own money. Today, we are going to sail to a relatively unknown, tiny and mysterious island on the western edge of North Pacific Ocean. It is a rather unknown island commonly called Yap Island. In 1525, a Portuguese explorer by the name Diogo da Roca sighted an island which could be Yap or Ulithi. In 1528, Alvaro de Saavedra Serron also made the same confusing note, but in 1543, Roy Lopez arrived and was greeted by inhabitants who were already speaking Spanish. So for now, the credit goes to Alvaro. This island may be a tiny, insignificant piece of land, but it was colonized by Spain, Germany, Japan, and America. Today, Little Yap Island is in the Federated States of Micronesia. It is one of the 607 islands that form the Micronesian state. However, only 4 out of 134 islands make up the most part of Yap Island. This vast section of the Pacific Ocean has several megalithic sites. Tinian, Rota, and Guam Islands in the Mariana Islands, Palau, Pohnpei, and Kosrae Islands are barely visible, but yet they have megalithic culture. No one knows for sure how it got there. Yap Island is only approximately 24 kilometers long from the furthest southern tip to the furthest northern tip. About 30 kilometers to the east of the eastern shores is a trench that plunges 7,700 meters or 25,000 feet deep into the abyss, just like the famous Mariana Trench. Yap Island itself is made up of 4 islands, and the largest island is Yap Island. Gagil Tomil, Ma'ap, and Rumung are the other 3 small islands that make up most of Yap State. It is a beautiful oceanic island, not just famous for its crystal clear water, but also it is sunny and breezy 27 degrees Celsius all year round. If you spin a full round on Google Earth at 20,000 meters above sea level, you will see nothing but the ocean. Yap Island is believed to have been inhabited about 5,000 years ago. So I wonder, how did Austronesians from Taiwan found Yap Island thousands of years ago? According to mainstream economists and archaeologists, this is what the Yapese used as currency in ancient times right up to 20th century. The money is called Rai Stone. It is said that there are stone slabs with carbon dating up to 2000 years old. It is unclear if the slab is a Rai stone or other megalithic stones. These stones were said to have been carved out of limestone bedrock. But Yap Island, jutting out of the Pacific Ocean, is not of limestone material. So that means they have to come from Palau Island, which is about 450 kilometers away to the southwest, or possibly Guam Island, which is 820 kilometers to the northeast, which is even more insane. Do bear in mind that the only possible, most advanced mode of transportation, which is only a wooden outrigger, is just an assumption. We do not have evidence that they actually used this 1,000 years ago. It seems that there were 2 versions for the same stone. Yapese of the south call it Fei, while the north call it Rai. Fei came into disuse because it also means face. So eventually, Rai won the battle for a place in the dictionary. The locals call their island Wa'ap, but the West calls it Yap. The reason is due to miscommunication. The captain of a ship was invited to a canoe of local warriors to be brought to land for discussions. The captain pointed to the land asking for the name. The warriors thought the captain was pointing at the canoe paddle held by the navigator in the bow. The warriors replied, Yap, which means canoe paddle. So when you call this island Yap, the native might hand you a paddle. There are about 6,000 Rai Stone coins on Yap Island. They vary in size, shape and design. There are only approximately 12,000 Yapese living on these 21 municipal islands. The population of Yap Island is about 6,000 inhabitants around 20th century. No medieval explorers mention they saw and learned how Yapese make stone coins. Diogo da Roca and his crew were stranded for 4 months in 16th century and were treated like a family. The villagers not only had world-class currency concept but also had world-class hospitality. I am very sure the curious minds of Europeans would have led them to learn and document how it was made. Obviously, that did not happen. Sadly, the Portuguese and Spanish arrival did not bring much knowledge as to how they were made. They were already found abundantly all over the island. These limestone coins are so awesome they just treat them as something valuable. But more importantly, they are considered sacred. But they were not used for buying meat and vegetable on a daily basis. Yapese were very much Stone Age people and had no need for money on a daily basis. Domesticated animals and vegetations are always available within a village compound. Spanish and Portuguese never used money to trade anything with them. So why did archaeologists say they were money until 19th century? The concept of money as we know is different from Yapese on Yap Island. They don't buy and sell on a daily basis with large Rai stones. It definitely has value because it is awesome and sacred, but the ownership started probably from who found them first. It was used as dowry or agreement in a dispute where compensation is something awesome. When you own something valuable, you will bring it home and keep it in a safe place. But Yapese never move any large Rai stone coin. They just need to know who owns it. Transfer of wealth is by verbal agreement and spread by word of mouth. The largest can be 4 meters in diameter and weighs up to 5 tons. Although we have yet to solve the puzzle on how Yapese quarried, chiseled and transported by sea to where they are now, we seem to be able to convince readers that native did it since unknown centuries ago with pure motivation for a monetary exchange they never need. In reality, this island doesn't need money up to about 100 years ago. It is written everywhere that the value increases if there is loss of life involved in transporting the stone. A story that goes along is a Rai stone became extremely valuable due to shipwreck and lives were lost and survivors came back to tell the tragic end. And villagers accepted the Rai stone even though they never see that stone money. We do not know how many are at the bottom of the sea floor, but we know Japanese used them as anchors during World War II. So let's take a deeper dive into this numismatic study, why it was valuable, but yet it is not really money. Yapese were basically barter traders using baskets of fruits or shell necklaces on a daily basis. Concept of money, as we know, doesn't quite exist, let alone made of stone where death due to transportation will bring the value up. According to Father Cantova, a Jesuit from Spain in the late 17th century, the inhabitants of Yap lacked proper metal instruments for digging in the ground to look for silver. If that is the case, then I can assume Stone Age Yapese wouldn't be interested in carving limestone due to lacking in proper tools. The Yapese never moved the megaton disc. They were there since forever, and they are so sacred it is forbidden to sit or stand on them. So, from here we know these sacred objects were never traded as money, but it certainly has high value. It is a spiritual value due to animistic belief and sentimental value thinking they were from their ancestors. Then, we also have an account that says Chief Abathuli sent a gift to Premier and Chiefs of Yap. The gift was a Rai Stone. Tribal hostilities between Yapese and Palawan can be appeased with a gesture of giving something valuable because of its rarity after iron tools were introduced. When iron tools were introduced by Europeans, Rai stones manageable by 5 to 10 men can be quarried and transported between Palau and Yap. Rai stones produced with iron tools fetch some value and is bartered as sacred material in exchange for dried sea cucumbers. At this point, you can say it is money because those 2 or 3 feet diameter stones were manageable and movable. The circular stones were not even used as exchangeable currency in nearby islands. It is only a one-way transaction where Rai stones were imported to Yap Island and they in return export copra and dried sea cucumbers. The Palawan don't accept Rai stone for things coming from Yap. This community doesn't have property listing and you don't expect to pay architects for a house plan. Rai stone is only valuable in Yap Island. Yapese accept small Rai stones as payment for their hard work helping out in building a house, but don't expect other islanders to accept Rai stone if they help to tie coconut leaves for a new roof. The Yapese were powerful not because they have rock-solid financial system, but because they seem to hold others in their control through black magic. There seems to be an invisible energy that Yapese were able to cast on their neighboring islands. Seems like everyone is afraid of Yapese because the unknown megalithic builders dropped 6,000 pocket change coins as tips for taking care of the stones. Rai stone also can have a concept of prepayment. This is noted by Mueller that a father-in-law paid 10 to 30 Rai stones after his daughter was married off, and it is customary for receiver to remember that this good gesture is to be reciprocated. Big Rai stones carry more financial weight, but there is no systematic scale. How much is that much? When Europeans came to know about this simple and unique bartering, the production of Rai stone with modern tools were ramped up and cost oversupply. It became something easy to get and inflation set in as surely as calcite minerals turned to limestone. However, the original sacred, ancient and unknown origin Rai stones remain priceless. Yapese were very animistic and Yap Island comes with many myths and legends you can read on your own. A typhoon magician called Sarawi was used to prevent a storm. A wave magician called Tolo was used to soothe the waves. But I want to highlight that they too have their own Adam and Eve. Yal Fa'ath the Elder, a member of the first generation of sky gods, was regarded as the creator of the human race. He used his hands to create the first man called Ganan from dirt and the first woman called Nig. Pretty close for a biblical coincidence. The sky god went on to create another couple using the same method the next day. However, sky god decided to give humans sexual organs so that they can reproduce themselves. But the early Christians of the late 19th century has capitalized their openness to accept Christ and transform Yap Island into 85% Catholics. Opening a savings account starts with accepting Jesus as Savior. Hard cash coin has taken a new form when Yapese accepted US dollar in 1986 that says, "In God we trust." The ocean current has brought religion and currency changes. Bank rolls can now be rolled and deposited in rock-solid banks. This island is rich in mystery and a heavyweight in megalithic culture. I will explore more with comparison in my next video. I hope you enjoyed this short presentation on Rai Stone of Yap Island. See you in the next video and have a wonderful day. This is Berniong signing out. Kefel.